Audio and welcome to another edition of Trucking City Journal. Leave the questions. You, my friends, have the answer. Start today. Subscribe to the channel. Memorize the URL, truckingcitymedia.com, and call our studio line, 860-785-3547. 860-785-3547. We talk trucking. We make you the arbiter of a show designed to help make trucking great again. Welcome to you and everybody in the audience. If you've taken the time to join our studio audience, I thank you. I welcome you. And I encourage you, stick around. It is going to get real. Help us out with our mission to make trucking great again. Either call the show, put a comment in the chat in the right there. If you're following me on YouTube, if you're following me on Facebook, put it down below wherever the chat is. Or you can email the show at that'struckingnews@outlook.com. I rely on you for good quality stories, information, and content to put on this channel. So do keep it coming. Do be my guest. Do keep coming with the stories. I've got a lot of my loyal fans giving me stories that are what you see on this show frequently. So for that, I thank you. It is my privilege to bring you a show every day, especially on Saturdays and Wednesdays. I call it Front Lines of Trucking. But during the week, I do this. It's called Journal. It's Trucking City Journal. It's where I talk about news that affects you. It makes you smarter and more aware of the everyday lifestyle changes, things you need to know about. It is what we can do to save trucking for those later on besides us. You know, trucking is not just a here today, gone tomorrow thing. It needs to stay around for our kids. It needs to stay around for the yous and me's that give, our business to the Amazons, to the 1-800 flowers. And trust me, I just ordered flowers today. It was my anniversary and my birthday, so I had the privilege of having to do that. Um, Without trucks, we wouldn't get any of this stuff. We wouldn't know anything about it. So we are the show that all others cannot be. We are giving you the voice and giving you all of the resources you need to solve problems and make trucking great again. It's easy to sit on the fence. It's easy to be negative. But now that my show has started, both Trucking City Journal and Frontlines, you got no excuse, frankly. Yeah, I got no excuse. So call in, chat with us, let us know your thoughts. Today's question, the anatomy of a good leader. I'm raising it. You know what? We saw during the 2016 to 2020 timeframe what a leader can do. We saw a lot of controversy. We saw a lot of crap go on about, well, what makes a good leader? And here recently, that's been backed up with what happens when trucking itself doesn't get a good leader. It doesn't have a quality of leadership that helps us go forward. So I thought it only nice and necessary to chat about what makes a good leader. So I want to bring some things up to you tonight, and I'm going to make you ask the question, what is it that we need to have a change in trucking? And imagine just for a second, if Donald Trump were the leader in trucking and could change everything in a second for you, what would that mean to you? Now, as much as it's not the picture and it's really not possible, I ask you, let's get into this discussion and let's figure out for just one moment what would happen if the roles were actually set to help bring back quality leadership in trucking and get the job done. So let's talk about it. Sit down, have a spell, have a drink, have a smoke, whatever you do. Get the phone number ready. We're going to open the studio lines. We're going to talk to you about the anatomy of a true leader.
Shall we begin?
From the headquarters of the Truth in Broadcasting Network, introducing Truckin' City Journal and the El-Rushbo of Truckin' News, BossMan.
Guys, I thank you so much for joining the show. I love doing this stuff day after day. I'm making a push to be in front of you, to make a difference, to solve problems, and get you thinking about what it takes to make trucking great again. I want to start today off with a little bit of inspiration, which is something I see a lot of other trucking channels not doing so much, but I think it makes a big difference. Okay. No one person is useless in this world who lightens the burdens of others. Charles Dickinson once wrote that down, and it reminds us that even the smallest acts of kindness have a significant impact on others. Okay. For instance, a seasoned driver, and this is one of the things I started talking about early on one of my other channels. That's trucking. You don't know about it, go look for it. Good channel. If they take the time to mentor somebody new in the business, I mean, we all have to learn. We don't just wake up a truck driver, from cradle to front seat, knowing everything we need to know. Sharing hard-earned wisdom about navigating difficult routes, managing long hours, figuring out the regulations, all the things that it takes to get the job done. It's kind of necessary. It's lightening the load for the people that work long after we're gone. Not only helps individuals, but it helps companies and it helps the entire industry. Okay. There's nothing you can't do to help others that takes away from you. And I encourage you, take the time, help your fellow drivers, young, old, outside the culture, inside the culture. We are all truckers. We are all designed to get the job done. We want one thing. Okay. If you're watching this channel, we want one thing, and that's to make trucking great again. Give me an amen in the comments if you agree with that. If you like the way I've started this show, if you're on board with actually doing what it is I'm talking about, I want to hear from you in the comments. Let me know. Go down below, hit the like button, become a subscriber. I'm looking for more like you to make a difference. I want to talk today about leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up because we're diving into something a lot of channels don't necessarily cover enough about. Okay? Leadership in the trucking industry is not something a lot of people think about. All but once every 4 years. I mean, yeah, we talk about Trump, we talk about Biden, we talk about all this political crap. But where's the leadership in trucking? Where are we with ourselves when it comes to helping us get ahead? Paint the picture for our children and ourselves to get ahead in this industry. The question's simple, but the implications are massive. Does the trucking industry actually need more leaders who started as small business owners, like, for example, Louis Pugh, okay, vice president and owner of, well, not an owner, but he's a president of the OOIDA, okay? Let me start by saying, I want you to hear me out. The trucking industry doesn't need just leaders. It needs people who have been in the trenches, people that, like him, understand what it is to run a trucking company. They've eaten the same food. They've fallen on the same pavement we have. They've smelled and breathed in the same exhaust we have. And they've faced the same challenges that we face every day. How often we see all these leaders up there in offices, like the FMCSA leader currently there, Mr. AI Genius, or Mr. Buttigieg, The only credit he's got to him is he's a mayor of a small town. He's great at this diversity kick that but he has no experience in running a trucking company. Okay, look no further than this man right here. Okay, motor transport operator for the U.S. Army Reserve, but then went on to become an owner operator in the industry. He built his own company, and with over 2.5 million miles, accident free, I might add, he earned his place at the table, not through boardroom deals, not through BS, but through hard work and dedication. He was actually able, as pictured here, to sit up in front of Congress and talk about what it is we don't want, what it is we do need. He was actually able to front for us, which is something I'd like to think I can do, but I don't have a big company behind me. And I'm certainly not going to pay his dues. Segueing on, though. Typically, without us in the industry getting the job done, transmitting this information to those in power, what happens? Nothing. This industry is built on people like you and me. Grit, determination, and the backs of people like the guests that will be on my show tonight who have actually logged the hours, driven the miles, and did everything necessary to build up not only a skill, but a reputation and what it takes to actually continue to make trucking survive. Leaders from trucking know that. You guys know that. Those of you watching probably feel that, okay? So people like him who have been fighting ever since they started, who have been in it for the longest time, all right? They don't need pencil pushers and people in Washington telling them how to write laws, write rules, okay? We need more people like Louis that understand that trucking's just not just about moving goods. It's not just A to B. It's about moving us, the industry, and the job at hand forward. So I'm going to ask you tonight, I want to entertain your thoughts and ways in which we can actually move this industry around, and the discussion too, because that's very important too. You know, what have we got to do to get more leaders that actually have his kind of experience and his kind of know-how in an industry that seriously depends on everything we do? What kind of leader would that have to be? Someone with hands-on? Should they be, at the end of the day, people like you and me? Should we run for office? Should we make these changes? I'm going to open the floor to you guys. I want to hear from you. What do you think needs to happen? Do we need to continue having people like Pete or this fellow who's an AI genius? I don't even remember his name. That's how meaningless he is to me. But what's your thoughts? What do we have to do to get quality leadership in places of power that actually will make the difference at the end of the day? We're going to open the studio lines early. We're going to get your calls in. I want to hear from you. 860-785-547. 860-785-547. Give me a sound off. Tell me what you think of current leadership and what you think needs to be done to improve the quality of this industry moving forward. Because I'll tell you what, I think we have had it long and hard enough. I think we owe it to ourselves to take a step in the right direction. So let's start the conversation and let's talk about leadership in trucking. Good evening, my friends. I welcome all three of you to the panel. Grumpy, what is it you hate most about the current leaders and the way things are, and what would you change?
Well, what I hate the most is they constantly change things and they don't ever leave it the same, which some things I agree need to be changed, but there's a lot of things out there that shouldn't be messed with. Like the old saying is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I mean, I feel we really need to find someone that knows the trucking industry, just like you were talking about, that needs to be up there and take care of things and do it right.
Do you think this fella has more to give the trucking industry than would be someone like Pete? I mean, I'll even go a step over his head and say Todd Spencer's got more credibility than Pete ever thought. And like I said earlier, I can't remember the name of the fellow that runs the FMCSA now. Thankfully, it's a fill-in position. But what do you think? I mean, why put someone in the leadership position if they're not qualified to do it?
Because anymore they look at them as if they're a college graduate or someone that's went through some kind of colleging, that they deserve that position. Someone like us that just go through a trade school, they don't think, oh, we don't need them in there. They don't know anything.
Yep. It's just yeah. It's totally honestly, in my eyes, it's not serving the industry. And furthermore, it's not serving other parts of transportation. Because think about it. Pete not only runs trucking, but he also runs other aspects of transportation. He runs the railroad, he runs the FAA, he runs everything. And albeit I'm selfish, I'll admit that. Okay. Why not have somebody that at least understands all of that and the greater transportation market to begin with? Larry, what do you think? I mean, yeah, Pete doesn't know jack about all three things I've already mentioned, but yet nothing positive is being done. The unions are fighting like crazy to get control over transportation movement on the railroad, and we're the sorry suckers getting slapped with all of the negatives because of it. The low rates, the spot market crashing, everybody fighting, no one knows where to go, and yet he's up there living the high life, doing whatever he's doing, which in my estimation is nothing. What do you think?
Well, in my opinion, you can't get more than two truckers in a room without them fighting over anything. So,
well, I mean, good point. But how best to get people on the same page, but to have someone in office that actually understands what we're doing. The reason
you need someone from our industry, the FF, or all those other transportation things. You need someone that's qualified in each field of that.
Right. I think that would go a long way because you make a valid point. You get two people agreeing on the same point for 5 seconds in the same room. Why? Mm-hmm. I ask you why. I tell you why. The reason is because no one gets it. No one understands it. You have 3.5 million people out there with their own individual opinion about the best way to run their trucking company. Don't get me wrong, okay? When it comes down to it, you do you, my friend. You do you better than I do, okay?
Right.
But when you're talking about leading masses and leading large groups of people, you at least got to know something,
Do you all remember the old saying, it takes a village to raise a child?
Yes, I do.
It takes all of us truckers to build this industry up.
Good point, my friend. Good point. Good point. I adore that. I think that's great. Fate, I know you're muted. I don't know if you're able to join us on this conversation. Now all right. You woke up. My friend, I got to ask you something. If someone like Pete or someone like this fella that runs the FMCSA suddenly came down on the industry and said, you know what? I don't think you're doing your job right. You need to change, insert problem here. What would you say? I mean, do you think, like I introed this show, we need to actually think about leaders that know our industry or not?
Okay, I'm going to say a couple of things that are probably going to go against the grain of everybody on the panel and everybody in the chat, but that's my role, and it's what I believe.
Yeah.
If you look at everything positive that's happened in trucking over the last couple of years, how can you say Pete's doing a bad job? We're getting more parking. We're getting better road conditions. Now, I'm not saying he's qualified for that position, just like I don't think a daughter or a son-in-law is qualified for positions in office. I don't necessarily think Pete's doing a terrible job. Do I think it would be good to have somebody that understands actual trucking in these rooms while laws and things like that are being made and passed? Absolutely. I think that would be a wonderful thing. But I think we're talking about on a broken record. They're trying to phase this industry out. Why would they spend all their time and resources on trying to make this industry better when they're trying to phase it out? That's the long-term goal. They're going to put all their assets and money into that.
And how much of it would actually be phased out if there was someone in an office somewhere that actually could fight on our behalf and say, you know what, we don't need to phase out. We need to phase in gradually and do, like I've said several times, they're going too fast with this whole electrification argument. So to your point, I agree with you, but I think they need to do it at a greater caution than they are currently doing.
Well, that's where you got to look at the money. That's where you got to look at where the money's coming in from. Because let's be honest, I've been doing this almost 26 years now. Okay. I guarantee you a computer can do it better than I can. 100%. Computer
can do a lot of things better than we can. I don't dismiss that. Yeah.
So if I had the money and I was investing in programs that eliminates this industry to go more AI, the laws are going to be written to benefit that versus hence old technology. You know what I mean?
Well, technology, I think is a great idea and a great example to bring up. I mean, it's good if everyone can adapt and can understand it and use it without having to mortgage the bank holder of the truck or your house to get the job done. You know,
I'm saying what I'm saying is we're the old technology. The body behind the wheel is the old technology. That's what I'm saying.
True. But there's some things that the body behind the wheel can't replace. I mean, yeah, technology is great. The automation you speak of is going to hit and it's going to take hold. We know this. But if it kills somebody, what then? Or if it completely locks up the supply chain, who's going to sit back and point fingers at the person who pulled the trigger? You know? Why put the cart before the horse to get to the other side of the mountain when all you had to do was walk around the canyon? I don't know if you understand where I'm going with it. I mean, yeah, technology and use of it is great if it's going to help you get the job done. But if it's at the cost and expense of the integrity of the very thing you're doing, what good is it
all the time, man?
Well, I know
that. Do it all the time.
Maps, atlases, the very thing that you in midlife argue about all the time. Perfect example. I mean, now everything is on the cell phone. It's so easy. What use is it to use an atlas nowadays? As much as, you know, sorry, midlife, you're not here to defend yourself, but, you know, perfect example is what I'm talking about. But you guys wanted to add something? I heard, I saw briefly in the corner of my eye, you were raising your hand. Either one, spike up. You, Frank? Okay, Frank. Yeah, you wanted to say something?
Yes. I want to take an add to this and kind of do a little debating here with Fate on this, because I am also a computer technician by trade. AI, computer generation, anything that has to do with computers is only as good as the programmer. Therefore, unless they become self-aware, like Terminator, God forbid us, then AI and computer stuff is only as good as the person creating it and running it. So, yes, I see it coming. I know it's going to come, but, you know, hopefully I won't be around when it happens, and God forbid my kids and grandkids are around when it does. And hopefully by then maybe they'll have it perfected, but I highly doubt it.
I agree. I fully agree with what you're saying, but I like my argument would be right now, are you looking at a 10 speed, 18 speed, or 13 speed, or are you looking at twist knob to drive, twist knob to reverse? Why is that?
Okay, that kind of technology right there is a little bit different. I see your point on that. The reason for that,
hold on.
Actually,
computers.
Go ahead, Faye. Go ahead.
Computers are controlling the gear in the truck.
Right.
Manual transmission trucks. That's what I learned on. That's what I drove for decades. Right.
Right.
To
Myself
say that
included.
I can drive a manual truck, better than the computer system that drives my automatic is a lie. It's more efficient. Now, look at what put these trucks together. People didn't put these trucks together. Robots did. You know what I mean?
Not totally.
So they
I
have
agree.
the
Not totally.
technology.
Yeah.
No, like there's still portions that are wrenched on, but majority of vehicles nowadays are automated. So the technology is, the computer software is good enough to build everything almost. It will eventually get to the point where it will drive itself. You know what I mean?
But that's just
and
it.
That's
currently
what
and
people are putting their
only,
money behind.
and that's why currently and only is all that driven by right here, a human brain.
Yes.
Without it, technology is useless. Once technology becomes self-aware, which it's getting that close. There's already been one that was built. They have to find a way to release something to kill it, because if not, us human beings will have a problem. It will be similar to Terminator. I hate to say that, but it will be, and we don't want that.
I fully agree with everything you're saying, Grumpy. What I'm saying is, look at where the money is being spent. And when I say the money, look at where like the billionaires that stand to profit billions of dollars, where are they putting their money? They're not putting their money in you, me, BossMan, Larry. They're putting their money in AI. That's what they're going to focus on. That's what they're.
I got to ask this: how many of these AI and other, like you fellas are talking about, how many of them are actually geared toward the companies that have the major money rather than the individuals like everybody on this panel? Because, Larry, Grumpy, you guys are individuals. You're not so much part of a major company like Warner, Schneider, JB Hunt's, the big companies. So my question is, how many of these situations you're talking about right now are geared to favor the larger companies at the expense of the smaller guys like you and me?
Huge. And if you look at these big companies, they've invested a ton of money into this technology. I hate to say it, but But have you ever watched the movie, the new Top Gun Maverick? Have you ever watched that movie? Okay, in the beginning when he basically takes the airplane and hits Mach 10, and the general was like, "We want an AI fighter jet that doesn't need to sleep, pilot doesn't need to pee, etc., etc." That's what they want for trucking. And that's all the big companies have put their money behind that. They're not investing their money in us.
No,
they don't care about us.
It all rolls back to the greenback, is what it's all about. If it costs them more to get rid of somebody that they have to pay more to, they're willing to spend it.
What do you want to add to it, Larry? I saw you hold your hand up.
Okay. You guys are saying all these big companies are investing buku bucks of money in this AI stuff. How come they're not using it?
It's being developed. They are using it. They're using it in ports.
There's only a couple companies out there that are actually using this electrified vehicle stuff, especially out here in California.
Well, to your point, Larry, they're using it on controlled circumstances so they can monitor what happens. And I get why they're doing that, because they want to make sure that they've got the technology thoroughly thought through, investigated, and can answer to problems when they happen. So it isn't to a point where they can go mainstream with it, but it's to a point where they're actually able to do that. The thing you're talking about is the test tracks out in Arizona, New Mexico, and California. They can do that because those 3 municipalities or states have given them permission to do it, and they're giving them the real estate to do it. It's great. But it's not mainstream to run it in Philadelphia or in Charlotte or in Chicago. You wouldn't dream of doing that because it would cause major chaos. So,
well, they're doing tests on Highway 80 all the way through Ohio and Pennsylvania, self-driving trucks. That I pass them all the time. There's people in the truck, but these trucks are that you should see all the crap on them, and they're self-driving trucks. It says right on the side of them as they go flying by you, self-driving truck.
And with that said, I'll put this out there. Basically, it's in beta mode stage currently. It's a test trial run. They're seeing how well it goes. They're working the bugs out. And if everything goes well, it'll be released to where it'll be more usage and more people using it, more big companies buying into it. Right now, it's just beta mode. So they're just test running everything.
Right.
Yep.
You know, the fact that you guys are talking about, the fact that you guys are talking about what you're talking about, I want to kind of segue to another point. How vital is it for trucking leaders to participate in advocacy for what we're talking about exactly? To the point that they are, or at least most of them, are aligned with us, not just the big companies, but, and this was the reason I brought up what I brought up a minute ago, do we need more people representing us instead of just everybody in mass? And the reason I ask this is for just one simple fact. If you can watch the screen, watch. If you can't, listen. Because this is telling. Back in April, there was an episode on Fox News that talked about exactly the very topic we're talking about right now. I want you to listen in and watch if you can. Come on. All right, doesn't want to work that way, so I'm going to play it another way. Hang on a second. For some reason, my internet is not working. I had it queued up, and it's being a pain in the butt. Well, anyway, it was talking about electrification of vehicles, and it went on to say, I have no idea why this is not playing. This is a problem.
Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah.
I feel like a politician here. While you're trying to get that fixed, I want to say something.
Go ahead, Faye. Go ahead.
By no way do I support what they're trying to do. Let me say that.
Yeah.
By no way do I support what they're trying to do. I just think you have to look at things realistically. Like all industry like leans more towards AI and more towards computers. You know what I mean?
And with that being said, like I said a while ago, it's more so the factor that if they're willing to spend the money out and it makes them more money in return, that's the way they're going. Look at the self-checkouts. There you have it.
I mean,
that's a big example right there.
Walmart.
Me?
Yeah. No,
pretty much.
Yeah, like you go shopping and you have to scan one of my very first jobs as a teenager.
Here's the B-roll clip, guys. Watch it.
Operator Independent Drivers Association. It goes on to say this. This administration seems dead set on regulating every local mom and pop business out of existence with its flurry of unworkable environmental mandates. I mean, that's what this is about, isn't it?
Yeah, so just a quick thing on trucking. So a truck driver makes his money on time and miles. The quicker he can get back from a load, the quicker he can pick up the next one. And it's basically a gig job over and over again, whether he's an independent contractor, which most of them are, or working for a trucking company. So he's driving their truck. So it's a big thing to not cost these drivers more time. A truck today, a diesel truck, can go 900 to 2,100 miles full of fuel. So what this would do to truck drivers, not just truck drivers, but think about all the perishable items. Why can you eat strawberries in the wintertime? Because somebody's going to bring them from California. You can't do that with perishable items if it's taken 3 times as long to get here. Medical items, all types of things. You do not understand when you try to impose a rule like this, how far behind technology is and how reliant we are. I don't think this is anything that could actually go into effect, but then we see that, I mean, as recently as last week, they are putting some of this in effect.
You know, I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, we're sitting here having a conversation about the rest, about the rest of the industry and what's good and what's bad. I mean, I'm sorry I had the problem playing the clip, but it basically just goes to show. I mean, yeah, as much as technology is advancing and it's doing us good, where do we draw the line? When do we say, whoa, let's make sure we can manage this technology correctly and have it serve the greater population. It's not just the majority of people that have the investment capital and all this, the major companies, like I said earlier, but what about the small guys like you and me? Where are we going to see the return? Where are we going to see higher profitability, lower expenses, and a better experience? So let that enter into your conversation, guys.
Well, for one, I want the truck that gets 2,100 miles a gallon on a full tank of fuel.
I thought that was a little extreme, but I couldn't exactly cut that
right
out.
out of my mouth.
Yeah, I heard you laugh there. Yeah, but I mean, we all can agree it's at least 900 to 1,300. That's the average, I think.
Yes.
I don't know what the hell he was saying, but when you compare it to the electric trucks that they're trying to pass today, you can only get 500.
Well.
And to his point, the electric trucks require 3 times the capital because we can do almost 2.5 times the mileage and the range with a diesel engine. And that's the hurdle we haven't gotten over yet. And I don't care what kind of technology you put in it, you can't get over that ratio. So
not to mention it takes us maybe about 10 minutes to fuel our trucks and put DEF in and all that. And it takes how long to charge a big truck battery?
Yeah. They're saying 2.5 hours, 70%, but I think that's BS too. Yeah. So
that's not coming. Like that's scare tactics. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm being honest. We're not seeing electric trucks out here on the road causing supply chain issues. Now, that's not to say that the administration hasn't made in my mind, very bold statements saying, by 2035 or whatever, we want no diesel and no gas powered engines. That's crazy. And they'll realize it when that time comes.
They will, I'm sure. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to catch up on comments. I've been sitting here talking and have such a passionate conversation with everybody here on the panel. I want to catch up and recognize our audience. Griff USMC is in the house. 7C's in the house. God bless both of you. Griff says, and maybe keep more of the money to keep up on maintenance. That would be a good thing. If we had a leader that had kind of that, I'll give you credit for that. Good show. I like that. Modern politicians, if not broken, break it. Good point. Gilligan's in the house. He's saying, true, agree. Welcome to the show. I'm glad you can make it. I didn't even know you knew I existed because you haven't been on most of my shows. Hint, hint. 7C's computers aren't taking over all types of trucking. That's just not possible. Think again.
Sure it is.
It is possible. It is not possible to do it all parts, but they're doing more than I think you realize. And I think just what Fate talked about earlier proved that point alone.
Man, if you look at some of the warehouses nowadays, most of it's done by robots. You're loaded by a robot.
Thank you. Yeah. All of Anheuser-Busch. Thank you. All of Anheuser-Busch's warehouse from St. Louis. There's 2 in Indianapolis. There's 1 in
Niagara Water.
they're all that's another one. Yeah, right. They're all robotic. There's
Amazon.
Well, they're the leader in robotics. I'm not even going to talk about that. Don't even start. But no, I saw it going on literally with Anheuser-Busch because all of their automation was installed, I think, the year after I started driving for Warner because I hold for that account. And it was amazing. The only problem I had was every time I pulled in there for a quote live load, I waited almost 10 freaking hours. So automation's good.
Another thing I want to say about his comment. Another thing I want to say about his comment. Yeah, the AI thing's gonna end up taking over. The computers will take over, but I want to see that pull a cattle pot.
Yeah, yeah. Just like Griff says, tech is good for helping tool, but it depends on when it breaks. When and where it breaks, you're screwed if you don't know how to get around or get it done. Yeah. I mean, you really have to put more eggs in your basket for backup plans when it comes to tech. So, yeah, good point, Griff. I appreciate that, my friend. Computers don't always shift trucks correctly. I'm going to partially agree with that because even though I've got an automatic, I still manually shift that mom. I'm sorry. I'm not letting the computer do it. Y'all can have that. I don't want it. So I've even heard your great mentor admit he has to put in manual mode and operate. I guess you're referring to me. I don't trust computers. And thank you for thinking I'm a mentor, but no, I'll leave that to someone else. But 1,700. There's a fella getting 1,700. If you get that much out of fuel, I want your secret, my friend. Pass it along. Let me know. No idling says.
He drives really slow.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, 6.5. What is it? 6.5. Even the way I shipped, I get 9. I mean, but I have a new.
I get close to 8 or 9.
Griff, I'll give you credit. I've got a new truck. I get 9, so I won't pick on you too bad. 7 C's gives no computer. Are you hating on a Freightliner? Are you really hating on a Freightliner?
No, Freightliners get good fuel economy. It's just not a Cummins. You can't pull the hills I'm pulling right now. I'm waving at you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Well,
I get you.
The company I'm currently working for, actually, we're putting he's ordering every one of his Freightliners with Cummins in them. He's tired of the Detroits.
Thank you, special. We don't either. I've had 240. Okay, that's good. You got 10 more gallons than what maybe 10 more gallons, maybe reserve.
What? So hey, what the heck? It's flickering. It's flickering.
What's flickering?
Something's
flickering. Well, you need to fix your eyeballs.
No, your text down there where they're texting in, you put it up there and it's flickering. It's like the light bulb's burning out.
A StreamYard factor. I don't know. Anyway, next question. Dead air. Okay, next question. Trucking community. Are we doing enough to honor and recognize the contributions of those before us? Let's think about it. We're all caught up in technology. We're all caught up about these leaders, these people that aren't doing what we want. Let's stop and look at ourselves. Okay, I opened the show and talked about the moment of inspiration, about mentors. I think this is a valid question. What can we do if we aren't doing enough? Put it in the comments. Tell me. I want to hear it, see it, call the show, whatever you want. What can we do to make things better for those that are less experienced than us? What are your thoughts? Larry, what do you think? Do you think you can do more? Do you think you can help shape the future truckers? And if we don't get that great leader, what do you think?
Yeah, you can by just talking to them.
Yeah.
Answer their questions or let them ask questions. Let them answer them. You know,
do you think
don't be afraid to talk to them. They're not asking.
No. Okay.
No.
What?
I mean, when was the last time you went to a truck stop and you seen someone backing up that was having trouble?
Mm-hmm.
You never see anybody helping anybody no more.
No, You are so right.
They would rather you hit your truck than you get out. They would rather sit there in their truck and watch them hit their truck than get out and actually help them.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of that goes on. In fact, they'll sit there and grab the camera and put you on bonehead truckers before they actually do anything. More to your point. Yeah.
Exactly. Which in turn, it's like, why don't you get out there and say, hey, do you need some help? And if he says no, then okay.
Yeah.
But nobody does that anymore.
Yeah. At least you tried.
Right.
Yeah. What say you, Grumpy? What do you think? Do you think we need to actually hear more questions, do more? What would you do differently to show some of these younger fellows like myself? I've only got 13. You've got 20, almost 24. What would you tell me if I were back in 2013 looking to get into the trucking industry?
I'd say, don't do it. No, just kidding. No, actually, if I'd met you back then, I would have actually probably, if you had any question, I don't care. There is no stupid question in trucking. A lot of people think there are, but there's not. You could have asked me anything, and I would have tried to give you the best answer if possible. If I didn't know it, I could say, check with someone that's been out here a little longer than me. As elders, we've been out here long enough to know the ins and outs, and we're always learning. So let me tell you, it's one of them deals. That's what I would do.
Yeah, definitely. I like to hear that. Going through some more comments. We had Griff tell us, oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, I drove a 2011 387. Nice. Yours was 2 years older than mine. I don't have denture pays. Yeah, so mine was manual, and my Pete had 100-gallon tanks. My Freightliner has 120, so yeah, God bless us. Gilligan, I'll help when I can. Not acceptable, dude. You're going to do it when I say. No, joking. That's actually, I think more of us truckers need to do that. More of us actually need to feel that way. Help when you can, because there's too many of us that actually take the video cameras and say, let me have my 15 seconds of fame. This is so cool. You know what? Ike Stevens needs content, but I don't think he needs it that darn bad. Okay, get out, give somebody advice, help them out, save them, save them the extra trouble. I mean, come on now. This
do you remember?
Go ahead.
If you remember, maybe Grumpy does, maybe Fate does, but you remember you used to you'd see someone on the side of the highway, and there'd be 3 other trucks trying to get that guy up and running.
Yeah,
those were the days.
Where is that?
Now they're gone.
Yeah, you don't see that anymore. I mean, Fate, when was the last time you actually stopped not stopped? When was the last time you actually saw someone pull over with a similar make truck and actually help somebody with a tire or a bad issue, or if they break down, or just even check on an individual with the triangles out? How often do we pass by them and just ignore them?
So I can say I stopped probably 6 months ago, right? Like springtime. It was right, like there was still snow on the ground, but I stopped middle of the night. A guy broke down basically in the turn lane. I just turned my hazards on and got out to see if he needed help. He told me he didn't. He had already called somebody, so I left. But you don't see that much anymore.
No. I mean, it's an arbitrary question, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, Fate. I'm sorry if I did, but I mean, think about it. It's something we don't do enough of. I mean, just like offering advice, it's really we need to do more of.
I saw a guy lock himself out of his truck, and I happen to know one of the keys I have is a master style key that will open 2 types of trucks. I'm not going to say what type they are, but he had one of those trucks, and I said, hey, I got a key that will work. And he didn't believe me, and we were at a shipper, and sure enough, my key worked, and he got in. He was super thankful. But yeah, you don't, I don't know, man. I trained people for so long at my old company jobs. I really, I mean, I'll admit it. I'll be honest, man. I stay to myself. Like, unless you directly approach me and ask me something, I stay to myself, man.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna let somebody hit somebody.
No,
but
no.
I don't go out of my way at all, to be honest.
I think too many of us actually take on that persona, and I think that's a shame. It really is. Because back in the day, I mean, I'm nobody special. I'm nobody perfect. But, you know, even though I've only been in it 13 years, I can definitely say that today is a lot different than when I first joined. And I can say with a conviction, there are too many people that today will not do what we did back in the day. It's a whole different baseball game. It really is. I mean, there's no seventh inning stretch no more. There's no 9 innings. There's no, you know, guy on the mound calling safe or fouls. It's just everybody for themselves. And the game is not the same as it was when we started. Last question I'm going to entertain, and I'm going to move on quickly because we're running hard up on my hour limit. Military experience. One of the things that really served to push forward Louis' experience was military experience. He claimed he had a number of years in military service in the National Guard and used that experience to basically be the foundation to move him into trucking and transportation. So do you guys, knowing that, and other people that probably fill the trucking industry more than we do you think that that experience is essential for success, or do you think that's overrated? What do you guys think?
No, because from what I've talked to other people, military drivers have a whole lot different way of doing things compared to the way it is out here that we drive. It does give them experience behind the wheel, yes, but they operate so much differently. They follow different guidelines and everything. So, you know, once they jump out of that and they come to the actual trucking industry, it's a whole new ball game for them.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think, Larry? You think it does somebody any good? I don't even know if you have it, but what do you think?
Well, it gives them the experience, yes, but they still have to go through the same rigorous training we do when we get our CDL, because their military license doesn't transfer over to a commercial truck.
No, it don't. No, it don't. No, it don't. What do you think, Fate? Do you think that military actually plays a part in that and helps them become a better trucker?
Sorry, scaring deer off the shoulder of the road.
That's good. There you go. That's military experience for you.
I'll be I think it's good experience, and I think people from the military that I can kind of speak from experience because my best friend came from a 25-year career in the military to owning a trucking company. He had experience driving a little bit in the military. So that experience helped, but he's a very disciplined human being. I think the experience that men and women get in the military can translate to being a successful truck driver. Being self-discipline, having self-discipline, understanding long hours and crap like that. I mean, those men and women go through hell. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you think actually? So in what I'm hearing you say, you think that provides an asset?
I do. I really think it does. I would be, if Griff's still in the chat. Griff would be a great example. He was in the Marine Corps and now he owns a trucking company.
Well, I can tell by his thing. Yeah. I mean, before I end the show, Griff, tell me. I mean, hands down, military, a good thing, a bad thing, an asset, a deficit. Let me know. I want to close on a good note. You know, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we have so much in news and in the media today that is really not set right, and I don't like what I hear. And everybody's talking about, you know, this guy's good points, this guy's bad points. So I put tonight's show together with the idea that, okay, you know what? There's leadership. And I don't care if you're talking about company, I don't care if you're talking about industry, there's leadership. And really what we need is a bunch of people in whatever leadership role they occupy. They need to understand what it is we deal with. Now, I bring up the military thing because those individuals, I feel, and I think by looking at this comment, have a leg up on us. They have a set of training and a set of standards that will help them. And I almost regret not going in myself because of what I know. My brother was in it. My father was in it. Griff, you're giving me this feedback. Everybody on the panel and the audience is talking about it. Just what I'm saying. Oh, just what I'm seeing. Griff, you'd be amazed. He says, what type of experience in logistics handling a brigade or division worth of equipment and driving in adverse conditions can do or help. He says it could give you a good experience if you have the right mentors. I love the way you're going on that. Faith,
so my daughter, I don't share a lot about my like personal life, right?
No,
my daughter was in the ROTC and still is in the ROTC for the Air Force. And you know what she does? You know what her job is? Logistics, like logistics specialist. And she started this when she was in high school. I believe she took that job when she was a 10th grader, and she took it because I'm a truck driver. So like the skills that she has learned on how to like read maps, how to do all the ordering, how to do all the packaging it's remarkable how much she knows about what I do with never spending a day in the truck.
Wow.
It's remarkable. It really is.
That is
big time kudos for her. I'm glad she's getting that experience.
Yes. And so am I. Look, at the end of the day, I'm going to tell you guys, I like the idea that the industry, although it may not be perfect, okay, it doesn't run on autopilot, okay? It's got its good points. It's got its bad points. I'm going to tell you something. I don't care who you are. Whether you're for automation, whether you're against it, it don't matter. Okay, we have our challenges, and I bring tonight to you the idea that the right leadership is what will help us at the end of the day get where we want to be. Okay. If you found today's show or broadcast even slightly interesting, please go down below, like the show, subscribe, continue being part of it. I like hearing from you. I want to keep hearing from you. Look for us on Frontlines on Saturday and on Wednesday. And you don't want to miss what's coming up on this coming weekend show. All right. This ain't just a show. It's a movement. Stay tuned. Stay engaged. It's people like you that need to be reminded. It's trucks that make the deliveries, but it's you that make the difference. Don't forget that. Stay engaged. Stay positive. And by all means, keep her rolling.